On February 3rd, 2026, Floyd Mayweather filed a lawsuit in California against Showtime Networks and Stephen Espinoza, claiming they helped his former advisor, Al Heyman, misappropriate a huge chunk of his fight earnings to the tune of $340 million.
And he had been giving him 50,000 and 50,000 and 50,000. He had already gave Gamboa about 300,000 to jail on the side. And then we ended up, when he did go in, I ended up picking up all the fighters.
Al Heyman was so good at his job, yes, that he was clowning these networks. He was out negotiating the networks to the point where they were giving you an inferior product because his fighters were getting overpaid for lesser fights.
We weren't getting overpaid.
In that,
we weren't getting
I'm
overpaid.
happy for every dollar you made.
Freddie Hernandez.
Yeah, right.
This is the golden child of Al Heyman right here.
But it is admirable that Al Heyman not only did his job so well, but was helping fighters get rich while he was doing it. He created a climate where fighters started to begin to believe that they were worth more money. I don't mean to me. You're worth all the money in the world to me, the fighters. But I mean to the marketplace.
My thought is everything has a price. There is not a number that can get you back in that ring. 80 million, 100 million.
Nah, because now you selling your soul.
$100 million, you can have my soul.
That's you. Now we know your character. Sometimes, you know, you look at people and you be like, dang, man, you ain't got no dignity. You ain't got no morals. Like, come on, man. Like, what you gonna stand for if everything is about money? Like, I never was in a sport because of money.
Crawford would run through you. That is the savage jab 50 Cent fired at Floyd Mayweather Jr., and it links to a huge $340 million court battle. What makes this story so intense is not just the money but the serious claims behind it. Mayweather is not talking about small mistakes in accounting. He is accusing a planned and long-running system. Court documents suggest that earnings from some of boxing's biggest events, including his fight with Conor McGregor, may not have been fully recorded. Now the undefeated champion believes the truth may have been hidden for years.
Floyd is stepping into the courtroom to fight for money he claims that he was never paid, and he wants justice on his terms. So let's talk details. Let me tell you about the lawsuits. On February 3rd, 2026, Floyd Mayweather filed a lawsuit in California against Showtime Networks and Stephen Espinoza, claiming they helped his former advisor, Al Heyman, misappropriate a huge chunk of his fight earnings to the tune of $340 million. Mayweather says the money is still missing and unaccounted for, and he's now suing Showtime and Espinoza for aiding and abetting breach of fiduciary duty, civil conspiracy to commit fraud. Ooh, that's...
At the center of the issue is Al Heyman, once considered Mayweather's closest business partner. The lawsuit describes betrayal and claims Heyman may have redirected fight money without Floyd knowing. It highlights missing documents, unclear financial records, and questionable transactions that are said to hide true earnings. For a fighter who carefully managed every part of his business, these claims hit very hard.
It argues that during his legendary career, where he generated $1 billion in revenue plus and pay-per-view money, a significant portion of the funds that he made through those events, through his fights, didn't make it into his hands because they were funneled through accounts controlled by his then advisor, Al Heyman. Now, Mayweather says that Showtime delivered those checks and funds through systems that helped Heyman get the money instead of paying Floyd directly. The lawsuit also points to some of boxing's biggest pay-per-view fights, including fights against Manny Pacquiao and Conor McGregor, events that generated hundreds of millions in revenue. Mayweather's legal team said he generated hundreds of millions in revenue for Showtime and now wants to recover what he claims was unfairly.
Concerns reportedly grew when Mayweather put together a new advisory team. After Richard Schaefer and others called for full transparency, Showtime Networks allegedly did not provide complete financial records. Missing details linked to major events involving Manny Pacquiao and McGregor raised serious concerns. These were some of the biggest fights ever held, yet according to the claims, the reported numbers did not fully match.
Al Heyman himself, the advisor that Mayweather blames for the missing money, is not named as a defendant in the lawsuit. Instead, Mayweather's legal action targets the network and Stephen Espinoza. He claims they aided and abetted these alleged financial wrongdoings. So what does this mean, and what's like a potential outcome for this case that's coming up? Well, the lawsuit could have some pretty serious implications, not only for Floyd's legacy, but also for how networks and advisors handle fighter compensations. Mayweather wants hundreds of millions back plus punitive damages, pushing this beyond a simple accounting dispute. If the court rules in his favor, it could open the door to more scrutiny of boxing's behind-the-scenes financial relations.
Now this legal battle could reveal what really happened behind boxing's biggest paydays. With $340 million allegedly unaccounted for and possible damages rising even more, the effects could be huge across the sport. As fans try to understand the situation, voices like 50 Cent are adding more attention, turning a court case into a global spectacle where reputations are on the line.
Boxing promotion company once.
Yeah.
What happened with the boxing promotion company?
That really happened, Ken, because of my relationship with Floyd. You know what I mean? I didn't have interest in being a promoter, like, out the gate. It was just, he was doing Mayweather promotions at the time. And then he had to do 90 days. He was going to jail. And he had fighters. He had Marcus Gamboa. He had guys that was just lingering. I'm like, champ, if they're going to leave. If you go to jail, they're just going to leave. Like,
right.
And he had been giving them 50,000 and 50,000 and 50,000. He had already gave Gamboa about 300,000 to jail on the side. And then we ended up, when he did go in, I ended up picking up all the fighters.
Right.
And so Marcus Gamboa, I had James Kirkland, Andre Durrell, Billy Dip. He was the IBF champion at that point, and then a few other guys younger guys that I picked up.
Never one to stay quiet, 50 Cent quickly turned the situation into entertainment. He kept his long rivalry with Mayweather alive and openly mocked him, even offering a sarcastic solution. He suggested that the only way to recover that amount of money is for Mayweather to return to the ring for huge fights, starting with Mike, and then moving on to a super fight against Terence Crawford. At the same time, Max Kellerman gave a more detailed view, calling Al Heyman one of boxing's most powerful figures. He explained that while Heyman's system helped protect fighters financially, it may have also slowed down some of the matchups fans were waiting to see.
Al Heyman was so good at his job that he was clowning these networks. He was out negotiating the networks to the point where they were giving you an inferior product because his fighters were getting overpaid for lesser fights.
We weren't getting overpaid.
In that,
we weren't getting
I'm happy for every dollar you made.
Freddie Hernandez.
Yeah, right.
This is the golden child of Al Heyman right here.
But it is admirable that Al Heyman not only did his job so well, but was helping fighters get rich while he was doing it. He created a climate where fighters started to begin to believe that they were worth more money. I don't mean to me. You're worth all the money in the world to me, the fighters. But I mean to the marketplace than they actually were. And so now it became difficult to make fights.
I mean, you really want us to change our mindset, right? The fact that we were putting our health in jeopardy every time we stepped in that ring. So we had to make sure to get every penny that we.
Then Andre Berto stepped in and pointed out how complex and sometimes unfair boxing's business side can be. He supported Al Heyman, saying the system was built to protect fighters. Max Kellerman, however, stuck to his view, praising what worked while also noting its flaws. As the debate grew stronger, Turki Alashik joined the discussion, offering fighters larger contracts, more transparent setups, and worldwide exposure.
I mean, that's the mindset that he put in our minds on a regular basis.
And good for him. But when he does his job that well, then Andre Berto doesn't have to take the best fights to make the money, and now me as the consumer doesn't get to see the best Andre Berto fights. My point is, fighters started thinking that the market was different than it really was, because Al was juicing the market. In that climate, big fights stopped getting made, because fighters are thinking, I'm making all this money for not taking a risk. You want me to fight that killer, or their managers want me to fight that killer for not much more money? Into that terrible situation for the consumer stepped Turki Al-Sheikh, who said, oh, okay, wait, what are your petty differences? It's over $1 million or $2 million? Here it is. Here's my gift to the boxing world. Everyone, take this.
Yet the situation is becoming even more complicated. Even with bigger money on the table, many of the fights fans want are still not happening. This brings up deeper concerns about how boxing is organized. Kellerman mentioned a possible fight between Virgil Ortiz Jr. and Jaron Ennis, a matchup fans are still hoping for. Now, focus is also moving toward Zuffa boxing, which could change the sport in a major way.
Now the problem is...
But he's overpaying. Like I said, I'm not mad at that. If you're going to give me the money, we're going to fight whoever you want me to fight.
But Dre, now the problem is, Boots and Virgil can't get made for $6 million plus for the fighters? Do you think the average person on the street in this country knows who Boots and Virgil are?
At the same time, 50 Cent's comments bring up another interesting question. Could a Mayweather versus Crawford fight actually be in the works behind the scenes? His words suggest that something bigger might be going on away from the public eye. Beyond the jokes and headlines, rumors continue to build about whether this major fight could really happen.
A lot of comparisons between Terrence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather. We've even had the conversation to go as far as who would win in a fight between Terrence and Floyd. And I truly don't know the answer to that question.
I do.
You do?
Yes.
Yeah. Who will win that fight?
Floyd.
Floyd will win that
yes,
fight.
Yes, sir. I love you, Terrence.
Always figures it out.
Yeah,
he's a chess master.
Yeah, his IQ and
but
that
the
shit
funny
is
thing
crazy.
about it is Terrence has been the only other guy that people can say he always figures it out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's true.
But you gotta have an OG somewhere.
Anybody else? Yeah.
There's an OG
Somebody got
somewhere.
a pioneer, right? Yeah, you got it.
There's an OG you can't out-figure out somewhere. And I just believe Floyd is that OG you can't out.
On the other side, Crawford doesn't seem interested in money-focused fights. He has made it clear that even huge offers will not convince him for the wrong reasons. For him, legacy matters more than money. At the same time, Mayweather's past comebacks show that he often focuses on high-paying opportunities.
I thought that everything has a price. There is not a number that can get you back in that ring. 80 million, 100 million.
Nah, because now you selling your soul.
$100 million, you can have my soul.
That's you. Now we know your character. Sometimes, you know, you look at people and you be like, dang, man, you ain't got no dignity. You ain't got no morals. Like, come on, man. Like, what you gonna stand for if everything is about money? Like, I never was in a sport because of money, you know? Of course, I was in a sport to make money, but I wanted to be a world champion. You know, I wanted to do something that I set my sights out to do as a little boy. Money wasn't the motivation. Me being a world champion was.
Crawford has often said that his dream since childhood was to become a world champion, and he has already achieved that goal. At this point, chasing money by itself would go against his principles. His main focus is now on preserving the legacy he built through hard work, discipline, and dominance in the ring.
Accomplishing all the things that I've accomplished along the way on my journey, you know, it was extra credit. It was extra credit because it's coming from the hood. It was like, man, I just want to be a world champion because that's just my dream. So when I became a world champion, it was just like, man, all this other stuff is like a cherry on the top. Like, you know what I mean? I did what I set my sights out to do. It was evident that I wasn't gonna let nothing stand in the way of me accomplishing that goal in my life. My mom telling me all the time, you need to get a plan B. You need to go to school. Man, you know me in school don't rock. What I'm going to school for?
Y'all lay tight.
I'm gonna go to school and I'm gonna get in the fight. I'm gonna get kicked out of college.
Meanwhile, the lawsuit from Floyd Mayweather Jr. is raising serious questions about how boxing business is handled. He claims that revenue from his biggest fights, including bouts with Manny Pacquiao and Conor McGregor, was moved into accounts controlled by Al Haymon. When his team later asked Showtime networks for financial records, they were reportedly told that important documents were lost in a flood. Mayweather is now suing Showtime and Stephen Espinoza for fraud and conspiracy and is seeking even higher damages. His side argues he brought massive profits to the network and is now fighting to recover what he believes he is owed.
Some of your best fights happen under the Showtime platform. Can you share a little bit of your take on what's going on with Mayweather? He's suing Showtime for $340 million.
Nah, we don't care. Money man trying to get more money and had a lot of money and did dumb things with money, and you know, it is what it is, man. Rich people got rich people problems. I ain't mad at it.
Still, doubts remain. Some people question whether these claims are fully true or part of a wider story. Critics point out that Mayweather is not directly suing Haymon, but is instead going after Showtime, the company that handled payments. This leads to an important question. How could such a large issue go unnoticed for so long? If the money was paid out, where did it actually go? The timing, knowledge, and intentions behind it are now being closely examined.